everyone. This is Shayna Hiller from Build Your Personal Yoga Business. And today I'd like to talk about whether or not you should plan your yoga classes before you teach them. So depending on the teacher training that you have taken or that you want to take, all teacher trainings are different in the sense that some may encourage yoga teachers, especially new yoga teachers, to pre-plan their class before they go in and teach. This depends on the style of yoga that you're teaching. For example, Kundalini yoga, having a plan is necessary most of the time because there are many different Kundalini Kriyas and the teacher has to choose one, study it, and then implement that teaching for the class. If you're teaching Hatha yoga or Vinyasa yoga, what I can say from experience is that you're gonna have to find your own way, what resonates with you. Let me give you a brief idea of the extremes. So, I was once taking a yoga class and the teacher had pre-planned the class to such an extent that there were postcards with all of the postures written on them, and the teacher was so involved in reading off of her cards and kind of, what's the word? She was like very into what she was reading and remembering that she wasn't present with the rest of the class. And that's one extreme of being too hyper-focused on what you planned that you're not even necessarily paying attention to the energy of the room and whether or not your plan is actually aligned with the student's experience of yoga or level or the energy at the present moment. At the same time, a plan that's too loose and kind of just going with the flow has no structure and doesn't necessarily feel contained, safe, or expansive for the practitioner. And I'm sure, especially those of you watching who have been practicing yoga for a long time or taking a lot of yoga classes, you probably have experienced both extremes to some degree. That being said, balance, a little bit of both, in my opinion, is the goal. I tend to have an idea of a peak pose. Again, some schools of yoga will teach so that you're teaching around a peak pose, and the entire practice for that day is dedicated to opening up the body in such a way that the climax of the yoga practice is this really amazing opening posture, such as a split or a handstand or some crazy pose. So there is some sort of a flow that's leading to something. It's not completely random. So have an idea, even if your idea is not even so much in the physical plane, but more in the esoteric or the spiritual plane. So perhaps you're weaving in a Dharma talk or some sort of talk about the sutras or a teaching about one of the yoga sutras, and how can you weave in one of the yoga philosophy teachings into the asana practice that you're offering for that day. So there's some sort of a common thread. At the same time, you're not reading off of notes. Now, if you're a new yoga teacher and you're nervous, I get it, read off of notes, but start practice teaching with people you know, your family, your friends. Let people know that you're a new teacher. But the key is, especially as a yoga instructor, to practice what you preach and be present with your students and what they really are asking for. So for example, if I walk into the yoga room and I want to teach lots of handstands and lots of inversions, but my room is filled with people that have injuries or who aren't experienced with yoga, they're all beginners, I have to be fluid enough as a yoga instructor to adapt the practice to suit the current moment. Meaning I have to be willing to let my plan go and really serve as I know how to serve, as you know how to serve your students in the moment. So go in with an idea, go in with a plan, but pay attention to the energy in the room, right? If you're so concerned with what you want to teach and it's just not feeling aligned, or people are taking breaks or not synchronized, that's a sign. Trust yourself, take a breath, and offer something that feels more aligned, or give more variations, more modifications for your class. So when it comes to should you pre-plan or should you not your yoga class, a little bit of both, and at the end of the day, be present. All right, I hope this serves you. Keep practicing, keep teaching. That's the only way to get better at teaching, is to do more of it. Cheers to your success, and I'll see you on the next video. Namaste.